The Baltimore Ravens, they have a new offensive coordinator. It's Declan Doyle. He was with the Chicago Bears last season. And Declan Doyle had a chance to talk to the Ravens official podcast. I think they call it The Lounge, right? So every team has their own podcast. They have their own media content. And Declan Doyle was talking about Lamar Jackson, how there's another level to Lamar's game that we have yet to see. And that he thinks Lamar Jackson can take his game to another level. The ceiling isn't where he's at right now. He has a higher ceiling as a football player, is the exact quote from Declan Doyle on the Ravens website. So when you look at the Ravens' outlook for this offseason, we have spent time talking about whether or not Lamar Jackson has given maybe the right amount of attention to the offseason, to his own health, to preparing for a season like other quarterbacks in the NFL have, who are the best of the best. Because I think that's where Lamar finds himself. He's somewhere between the top two guys and the fifth guy. And however you want to kind of sort that out in the topic of who's the best quarterback in football, we all agree it's Mahomes and Allen. Those are the top two guys. And then from 3, 4, and 5, you can debate whether or not it's Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert. You can list off a whole bunch of different names. We could be here for an hour listing off different options for the top 5 guys. Top 2 are set. We all agree that the top 2 are Allen and Mahomes. Lamar Jackson's won 2 MVPs.
Yeah.
He should be the automatic third best guy, if not best guy. So to what Declan Doyle told the Ravens media on their website about his quarterback that he's going to have here starting up with this new offense that he's implicating, even though he's never been a play caller.
Yeah.
He's excited, but clearly there is room for Lamar Jackson to take another step.
Yeah, and I think that, coming from the Bears organization, he learned under Ben Johnson, and not having called plays, it is a lot to take on, but you have to start somewhere, right? Like you're not a play caller until you are a play caller, right? You're not a head coach until you are a head coach. You're not, when Ben Johnson came to the Bears, it was between him and Mike Vrabel, were the two hot head coaching candidates. And everybody knew that Mike Vrabel was going to be a good head coach because he was a good head coach before. The question about Ben Johnson was, it was never going to be about his play calling, was never going to be about his plays, was never going to be about his offense. It was going to be about his ability to motivate and change culture. And we found out he could do that. So now with Declan Doyle, can he call plays? And we're going to find out. So you have to figure it out at some point. And the Ravens have chosen to give him the opportunity to call plays and figure it out with Lamar Jackson. And with Jesse Minter as the head coach, he brought in Declan Doyle to retool this offense, to revamp this offense. And coming over from the Bears offense, you can kind of see that maybe it'll look like that a little bit. However, when Ben Johnson came over from the Lions, he said, we're not bringing over the Lions playbook and just saying, here, Caleb, use this, and we're going to use the same thing. No, we're going to tailor this offense around you. What do you like to do? What do we like to do? We're going to merge the two and build this new offense. I think it's pretty safe to say that if Declan Doyle is a Ben Johnson disciple, that he's going to do the same thing. Lamar Jackson, what do you like to do? What are you comfortable doing? Let's build an offense with the weapons that we have. Do you want to stay in the pocket? Are you comfortable throwing on the run? What percentage of the time do you want to run? How much do you want to use your legs? Let's build this offense together. And we saw with Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams how successful it can be. Let's see with Declan Doyle and Lamar Jackson how successful it can be.
I mean, theoretically, it should be more successful. I mean, Lamar Jackson is a better quarterback than Caleb Williams.
Absolutely, yeah.
When we're 10 years down the road, maybe that flips. Caleb has a lot of improvement that needs to take place. Lamar Jackson's the better player. He's a 2-time MVP. So Declan Doyle was on this podcast on the Ravens website. It's called The Lounge. And this is what Declan had to talk about. This is what he had to say in regards to the offense that he will be putting together with the Ravens going forward.
We're going to hunt explosive plays. We're hunting plays that, 12 plus yard gains in the run game, 16 plus yard gains in the passing game. And everything we do is going to be built that way, where we're trying to create explosive plays. We're trying to obviously score as many points as we possibly can. Physical detail and explosive is what we expect to see. Everything we do is pointed, it's calculated, and it is designed to bend and stress the rules of the defense. And so it's really a relentless game plan process to make sure what we're putting on the sheet, what we're calling, what we're asking our players to do, making sure that what we're going to ask from a structural standpoint fits, trying to create those explosive plays against a defense.
So there you go. There's Declan Doyle on the Ravens website talking about the offense for the Ravens moving forward. That is almost identical to the way Ben Johnson speaks.
Mm-hmm.
And exactly the way the Chicago Bears last season had the type of offense that they had. That's what they were trying to accomplish. And in an NFL setting where everyone wants a Shanahan or a McVay, it does feel like now Ben Johnson's going to be that third pillar, and we'll see how it goes in the future. Who knows? Maybe it flames out. Maybe there are no other younger guys that come off of his tree, his coaching tree, that get offensive jobs. But if Declan Doyle works out, he will be a guy in the next 2 years who will be up for head coaching jobs if this works out in Baltimore. And I do think that having the knowledge that we have covering the Chicago Bears last season is that it was said multiple times, tell us about Declan Doyle. And people didn't really know Declan Doyle outside of, he came from the Sean Payton tree, and he was there with the Broncos, and he's, quote, a mini Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
That's what everyone says. He's a mini Ben Johnson. And when you hear a clip like that, it sounds exactly like the way Ben Johnson would talk about offense with the Bears, and Abdalla laid it out. There was no specific, we're going to run first, we're going to throw first. It's putting the defense in compromised situations and playing off of what the defense is doing to exploit and then get big plays. That's all they care about. And if you're a Ravens fan, you have to be excited that that is the attitude that they are going to take with Lamar in this offense, is hunt big plays. And that's what you need from your quarterback. And it helps to have a quarterback like Lamar Jackson who can move a little.
Yeah.
Right? Because what this all boils down to, and if you're a real NFL fan and you love the schematics of offense and trying to figure this all out, when they say hunt big plays, what that means to me is that you need more time in the pass game to allow routes to develop.
Yeah.
And what that means is your quarterback needs to stand in the pocket and wait and hold the football and go through the progressions and not just dump it off at the easiest first option every single time out of the backfield. Sometimes the safety valve is there, and you got to take that.
Yeah.
But ideally, what Ben Johnson was coaching with Caleb Williams and what Declan Doyle is going to do with Lamar Jackson is, I'm guessing when we get to training camp, reports out of Baltimore will be that the offense is a bit shaky to start.
Yeah.
Because what will happen is they're going to tell Lamar Jackson to hold on to the football longer to allow his receivers to get 15, 17, 20 yards downfield to then make their breaks. And then that's when you attack. And it does take time for a quarterback to get used to the idea of you're essentially a sitting duck in the pocket.
Oh, yeah.
And a guy like Lamar is going to want to escape.
Yep.
And so he's going to have to allow the time to develop downfield so then they can pass the football and hunt those big plays. And like that's what the gimmick of the offense is that. And that's why there's a lot of national football opinionists who look to Caleb Williams and his completion percentage, and they try and say that the guy sucks because of his completion percentage. And in reality, what the coaching staff was hoping would take place is that they're okay with missing a few passes downfield because they'd rather have the attempt downfield than the dink and dunk near the line of scrimmage. That's not what they're looking for with this offense, and that's exactly what Declan Doyle is going to do with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens.
Well, and I think, if you didn't watch a lot of Bears games during the regular season because you are living in different parts of the country that didn't get Bears games, and you're watching the Red Zone and the witching hour comes on, And that's when wins become losses and losses become wins. And for the Bears, a lot of those losses became wins. And that's when you would get a lot of Bears coverage because they came back more than any team in the final 2 minutes of games. But what would happen is things like you mentioned would happen. The offense would stall a lot in games, early in games, in the middle of games, because Ben Johnson would either they would score early and then there would be this lull, or there would be the offense would falter a lot during the early stages of the game. Ben Johnson would make adjustments. Their defense would make adjustments. Ben Johnson would make the adjustments, would go back and forth. And then at the end, towards the end of the game in the fourth quarter, that's when those chunk plays, that's when those explosive plays would start to happen. That's when those 12-yard runs with Kyle Monangai, with DeAndre Swift would start to happen. That's when huge plays to Colston Loveland, their tight end that they drafted, would start to happen, because those adjustments and wearing down a defense and Caleb Williams holding the ball a little bit longer would pay off. And that's what you might end up seeing with Lamar Jackson. Now, he's got to be comfortable sitting back there for a little bit, and also not just taking off and running.
Yeah.
Now, you also saw at times Caleb Williams was willing to take off and run and pick up chunk plays with his legs, and take off and pick up first downs with his legs. And we know Lamar can be very explosive, even way more explosive than Caleb Williams can.
Oh, he's the best in football.
Exactly. So this offense could be, if Declan Doyle can be a good disciple, not better than Ben Johnson, just a little bit, just like an offshoot of Ben Johnson, and be a good play caller, because he's never done it before. We don't know if he's going to be good at it. Then this offense could be extremely explosive.
And the question you have to add to the conversation, it's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. We're talking about Lamar Jackson, the Baltimore Ravens. Will Lamar Jackson be sensitive to this criticism? He is a guy that seems to kind of do his own thing. And we know that in the offseason, he wasn't there in the building when Jesse Minter was introduced. He's off on his own. He is around the facility as limited as possible. That's allowed for a player in the NFL in the offseason, which I guess is his right. But I do think when you're comparing Lamar to other quarterbacks who want to be great and the top of the top, those guys are always at the facility. They're always working with the receivers. They're always, a part of the mix. And it does feel like Lamar, and then partly because he represents himself, he doesn't have an agent, that the perception of Lamar Jackson isn't the best. And sometimes having a go between the organization and the player and an agent doing so is helpful, because will Lamar see this and take it the wrong way, that his new offensive coordinator is saying that there's even more to be had? And does he interpret it the wrong way and say, well, I'm already great. I'm already a 2-time MVP.
Well, and also early on in training camp, and we found out from Caleb Williams during media sessions later on in the season, he and Ben Johnson didn't get along very early on. And Ben Johnson was going after him. Ben Johnson did not hide criticism of Caleb Williams in meetings, and we found out. And it was like, Caleb Williams said, I don't know if he liked me early on. And then the relations, and it was because the coaching was tough. And so if Declan Doyle is going to take that approach with Lamar Jackson, he better be willing to be coached. Because if Declan Doyle is anything like Ben Johnson, the coaching is going to be tough. And every single Bears player has said the regular season later on, all those plays that they were running later in games and later in the season, they seemed so much easier because they ran them hard in practice. Bears practices were hard. They were tough. Ben Johnson runs a tough training camp. He runs a tough practices. And so the Ravens, especially Lamar Jackson, better be ready to work if Declan Doyle is anything like Ben Johnson.